Hi there, welcome to the Johnny Jenkins Show. Very happy Friday to you. The end of term one at the University of Warwick, and what a peculiar term we've had. I hope no matter all the restrictions and changes and online learning, you've been able to have a good time. And that really is what we're talking about on the Johnny Jenkins Show this afternoon, is not only all this online learning and how all that's been going, but 2020, it's been a year full of surprises. It's twists and turns and some very tragic stories as well. Of course, dominated by Corona, but I think back to January and bushfires were leading the news every day. And then, of course, coronavirus and Brexit. And there's just been so much going on this year. So we're going to try and have a little bit this afternoon of a year in review of 2020. And I'm particularly interested, because it's a Friday afternoon with the weekend approaching, looking at some positive bits of 2020. Maybe you were in lockdown and so you got more time to chase your hobby, or you spent more time with those you live with or your family, or maybe you just value friendships a little bit more. I want to hear some positive bits of your 2020. And as usual, you can get involved by commenting below if you're on Facebook and YouTube, or just by replying or going on the Periscope if you're on Twitter. So pop your comments in. We'd love to hear from you this afternoon. And if you're not with us live and you're catching up wherever you get your podcasts, hi, thanks so much for choosing to spend a little bit of your afternoon, morning or evening with us. So not only are we doing this 2020 year in review today, but as university students, it's been a very different experience, having to be tested to come home, having to do lots of it online. How have you found online university, or maybe some sort of blended approach? I think Warwick has done quite well actually at managing it, and I've quite enjoyed it. And going forward, post-corona, I wouldn't mind some of my lectures being online, but I wonder how you feel about this, what you think. You can tell me in the comments below. And maybe, just maybe, we'll talk a little bit about Brexit, because it's the final couple of days now of negotiations. By Sunday, a deal must be reached, or else we leave on no deal terms. That could hit our pocket. Do we really want that? Is that the cost of sovereignty? These questions to come. And after 4.5 years, would you believe it, 4.5 years since people voted Brexit, only now are we in the final talks. This really is the final straight. And do we think Boris Johnson really has got it in him to get a deal, or will he put us out on no deal terms? That's going to come a little bit later in the show. And your thoughts always very welcome in the comments below. We're going to bring in our panel today. And I'll tell you what, we've got a jam-packed panel of people willing to share their views and their opinions with us this afternoon. Let's start with the head of news at Raw, Enoch Mukungu, who joins me now. Hi, Enoch. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Johnny?
Yeah, good, thank you. And it's end of term. I've got that Friday feeling, although I sat here in this chair a lot in the summer and I looked out the window and it's beautiful, gorgeous weather. And now, I mean, it's just sort of pouring down. But I'm okay. I'm okay.
I'm pretty happy, actually, because now I'm sort of looking at sort of an early evening sky, and that's much better than what I used to have, which was that stupid ice cream truck coming through every 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about the ice cream truck. It would pretty much come along in every show. Yeah. And Enoch, do you want a cornetto? Yeah, it just happened all the time, didn't it?
The ice cream truck was a better guest than I was, I think. It was on more regularly than I was.
And we're going to come off air at 4 and it's all going to be dark. How crazy. But you're at home now, Enoch. Are you enjoying it?
Well, it's nice to get a break from my flatmates. Love them while I do. But I'm beginning to remember exactly why I was so desperate to go out to university in the first place, as much as I love my family. Yeah, but yeah, it's been good. I think finally coming off a huge pile of work we've had over the last 4 weeks. The last 4 weeks of term really are just the death period. It's just getting to relax and enjoy the last Johnny Jenkins Show of the year. I'm very excited, looking forward to it.
Oh, well, exactly. It's what a way to celebrate the end of term, because we've been on the radio recently rather than on the live stream. But I thought, final day of term, school's out for Christmas, might as well. And I wonder if any of the guests have Christmas jumpers. I'm just looking. I don't think any of us have got in the Christmas spirit, but I'm sure, we'll be feeling festive. Although I'm not feeling as festive this year, I'm playing like the Christmas songs. I'm just not feeling. I just can't get into it.
It's not the same as being in the studio, whacking on, I don't know, Slade or something, and then letting it blast out, compared to editing into like a it's not the same, not the same at all.
What is your favourite Christmas song? Mine is a bit of a rogue one. Mine's Leona Lewis, One More Sleep. What's yours?
That's an interesting choice. Mine is the classic Slade.
Oh yeah, I don't know if that's me or you that's lost the internet. I don't know, but I can still see. I can see now you're back.
Yeah.
As usual, we're back online. We're back with the technical difficulties. What do we expect? Thanks so much for being here, Enoch. We'll come back to you in a moment. And we'll talk now to Chef, who I don't know. Chef, I'm not sure if you've been on the show before. Have you?
No, I have never. This is my first time. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh! Welcome. And are you back at home now, Chef?
I am. I got back over the weekend after my 2 corona tests last week. So that was fun. I know.
Yeah. It was an experience, wasn't it?
I had someone do it for me. I really hated the idea of having to stick those swabs to the back of my own throat, like without having, no.
Do you know, for me, because you put it in your throat and you whirl it around a bit, and do you know what? I thought it'd be worse, actually, the throat. But then you take the same swab out,
and then what?
And then you put it up to what? It must have come up to about here. It doesn't actually go that high up.
I think mine was 100%. Like, it made my eye twitch, so it must have been.
Mine went to the back of the brain, to be honest, Chef.
Yeah.
But then you have to twist it. Oh no, that was it for me.
I did around for 10 seconds. I'm just there like, it's the worst thing ever.
Oh my gosh. But
it's worth it to be home.
Yeah,
now.
Exactly. It's negative and it's safe and you're back home. And what a funny old term it's been, Chef. But I know we'll get onto it in a moment. But was it what you expected it to be?
I think with the whole build-up, especially through September, no one sort of knew how organised things were going to be, how weird and disconnected things were going to pan out. But I think that the university has actually done a really good job under the circumstances. It has been hard. Me personally, I love being out and about. I'm not one to stay, in my room. So I found that side of things a bit harder, especially in lockdown. Sort of those last couple of weeks before I came home, it was like cabin fever. But I think overall it's been okay. It's not normal, is it? That's what we have to remember.
Well, exactly. And I think back to some of the media I did before we went to university, and I was being all real doom and gloom because I was genuinely concerned about how it would work. And I've been well positive on my last couple of weeks because I'm just happy. Anyway, Chef, great to see you. Back with you in a moment. And we're saying about being away from your flatmates and not obviously being able to escape them. Not escape, that's not the right word, but having a bit of time apart. Well, Remy, my flatmate, missed me so much. Decided to come on the Johnny Jenkins Show. Hello. I think we're connecting to Mars with Remy because we haven't got the best connection. Remy, I think you're miles behind us. So we will we'll have to exercise some patience. How are you anyway?
Assuming the Wi-Fi is going to stay in one piece during this broadcast, fingers crossed. But yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Like Chef, came back on Monday after the 2 delightful coronavirus tests. Strange feeling to be back home, but very nice nonetheless. Enjoying that sort of transition between the wet and the sunshine that's starting to push over us now. So lifting the spirits.
And are you missing me?
Oh, Johnny, how can you not miss you? Your ever-present voice on the radio. That's hard not to miss.
Booming through the flat all the time. And finally, Remy, have you got your Christmas present that I sent you yet, or is it still in the post?
The suspense.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Let's come back to Remy in
You'll
a
never
moment.
know, Johnny. You'll never know.
No, this is. I assume the Christmas present hasn't got to. It was dispatched yesterday. I don't think it's come yet. I've put in the name Remy Christmas, so he knows not to open it till the big day.
I'm going to assume he's opened it, he hated it, and now he doesn't want to tell you. So he faked a
That
pause.
was his way of not answering the question.
I think it's quite a good present. Anyway, we'll go back to Remy in a moment, and hopefully he'll. I mean, he's in sort of deepest, darkest Surrey. I think they've only just got Wi-Fi there. So that's fine. Let's bring. Oh, hold on, Remy. Is he there? Is he not? I can't tell. Let's go to Adam, who's a great friend of the show and joins us now. Hiya, Adam. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How is everybody?
We're good, you know. I mean, we're having this little sort of end of term party. It's a little bit different to the sort of party I really imagined. So you've been at home the whole time, haven't you? Because you live at home when you do university. So I suppose it hasn't been that different.
No, it's not been that different. Last few weeks I've been online, which has actually been really good. The online provision from the university, quite frankly, has been fantastic. And like before I was at uni, I was in work, and we ended up being used to working online because we couldn't go into the office. So it almost feels like it's nothing different.
Well, good. So I'm very pleased to hear that. And it's just been such a peculiar time. We'll get on to our little sort of year in review in a moment. And I think Remy is sort of, he's there. You're looking a lot more stable there, Remy. I was just asking, I'm talking about the internet. I was just asking.
Thanks very much. That's appreciated. I'll keep that in mind, Johnny. When we get back to the flat, we'll settle it there.
Settle it there. Oh my gosh, I'm having a little fisticuffs. Has the Christmas present come, Remy?
Has it come? No, I don't think it has yet. We've just had a lot of Amazon parcels through the door lately. I wonder if they just flooded it out lately.
Oh gosh, well no. Well, if you buy them, they arrive, don't they? Okay, so it will come very soon. Don't open it till Christmas, though, Remy, because
I promise. Cross my heart. I promise.
Okay. Remy got me. There's me telling him not to open it till Christmas. I opened my present from Remy ages ago. Nice big gin glass, and oh, it was lovely, fantastic. Anyway, we're neglecting one panelist, so we haven't introduced yet. Cam Hall, host of the Alternative View on Raw. Hiya, Cam. You okay?
Good afternoon. It's great to be back on the Johnny Jenkins Show.
It's great to have you back. And Cam, you've got a beard. I love it.
Well, it's two things. I mean, obviously Movember. If we forget that I forgot to set the MoSpace up, and then we can just zoom in and see. I don't know. I feel there's some sort of personal care and beautician stuff that can be going on with this. It's all reopen now, so I'm gonna have to do something. I feel Johnny, looking at yourself, you've kind of got the balance of the facial hair right. I need to buy something to make it work.
It's looking good, you know. Let's just
turn into a salon show.
I feel quickly the Johnny Jenkins Show is going to turn into some sort of modelling agency if we're not careful here.
And Cam, you'll be front and centre. I've just popped you full screen so we can have a good look.
I feel you may be the first person who's ever said that. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Cam, what does it say on that little? Sorry, Chef, you go on.
Oh, I was just going to ask: is Cam's beard a different colour to his hair, or is it just?
Well, I'm thinking this. I don't like to use the word ginger.
It's slightly ginger. So the ginger kind of runs through my family. But when my mum first saw me when she picked me up in Leamington, she kind of took one look. And she said, "Oh, where did this come to?" And I said, "Well, Mum, it kind of makes me feel a bit like Prince Harry." So I think it's all right.
Oh, I suppose you picked the better looking of the two princes, I suppose. Cam, I'm interested to know what it says on that little sign next to you. Is it? What's this? Life.
Well, I bet.
The other side. That's it.
Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Yeah. A bit of context. This is my dad's therapy suite. I actually did my show when we did the live streams for the Alternative View in summer. I did it on the desk that's literally just next door. I've had to change slightly because the room is literally full of cat toys and cat food and parcels. And frankly, if I showed you the rest of the room, I think my mum would absolutely throw a fit. So
I wondered why I felt like
spot in the room.
I wondered why I felt like opening up this afternoon, Cam, but that's why in there. But I think it's a nice little mantra for 2020 because what a storm it's been, and it's just been this crazy year. I mean, at the start of it, I think we probably expected Brexit to be the one thing that would dominate here in the UK for the year, and of course the global pandemic came along and sort of stepped all over Brexit and has completely dominated. But we've spent so much of the time this year talking about scary, sad, negative things about the year. I want to do a bit of positivity, inject some Friday afternoon fun feeling into the show. And so I'm keen, panel, to hear what your positive bits of 2020 have been. Chef, we're going to come to you first.
Oh, great.
I know it hasn't been the most positive and the most amazing year out there, but surely there's some good bits to take away from it.
You know, this is really random, and I was actually just thinking about it this morning. I had to do the Tesco shop for my mother, as I do when I'm home to help her out. And as we know, it's freezing outside. Those masks, they do wonders for keeping your face warm in the cold weather. Honestly, I think we found a new fashion trend from here on out, because, you know, it's just nice not to have your nose wanting to fall off. So,
like a mask, a scarf, a hat,
gloves.
There's nothing left.
No.
You're just completely covered. We were saying in summer actually that this was going to happen, and it's sort of, it's a bit cozy, isn't it?
You know what? You know what I do sometimes is, even when I'm back in my car, sometimes I just keep it on. Just to
Really?
Yeah, I know. Dangerous adventures I go on, John.
You know how to live. I love that. That's been your best moment of the year. Being big in your little car, all alone, and wearing a mask.
That was one of them.
I wonder if we're going to keep the masks, not fully as much as we are now, but going ahead. I think some people are still going to wear them. I mean, for example, I couldn't imagine going to a hospital and everyone not wearing a mask. I think that's going to stay. Definitely. What were you saying there, Chef? I've talked right over you.
I was just saying, even public transport like London tubes, I don't see people getting to a point of comfort in the next year where everyone's just totally back to 2018 living. But yeah, I definitely think they're going to be around. But I was talking about this actually with my mum and my sister, and we were saying how that the government might turn around at some point and say, obviously they're not mandatory anymore, months down the line, if not over a year away. But I think people will still keep wearing them, and it will have become so normalized that no one will think anything of it anymore. Which I think
how
is
many
weird.
have you got?
How many masks do I have?
I'm getting up to 15 at this point.
No, 15.
Remy will know because the parcels just keep on coming.
Oh.
I'm a great online shopper.
In his drawers, and he's got his plants, and he's got his masks, and he's got his whatever else it is.
How many have you got?
It's like he's hoarding everything. He's just like grabbing everything he can possibly get.
I am the tidiest flatmate, I'll have you know. I may have a lot of stuff, but it's very tidy.
I think I have around 6 or 7. And obviously they're being washed and alternated every couple of days, as we're meant to.
Different colours. They're all like, because a lot of people just wear black, and I think, well, come on, spice up your life.
So I like my black ones because they're just, I sort of feel like I'm in a Mission Impossible film or something. But I did come home and my mum had got me a Christmas one, which is blue, and it's got like snowflakes on it and stuff. I'm yet to wear it. Because that's quite a step out of my comfort zone. The fact that it's not black like the rest of them.
I'm not distracted. I'm just looking for my Christmas mask because it's around here somewhere. Mine's got
interesting ones.
I've got so many. Because I've got a few here.
What about the gingerbread one, Johnny? Where's that one?
It must be downstairs. I'm trying to look for it because I've got like a black one, but that's just boring. And actually, this is a black one, but it's really comfortable. So what about a blue one? This one. I quite like the blue one actually.
Yeah. Everyone has a favourite though, don't they? It's got to that point where we've had to wear them for so long. Everyone has like their go-to mask. Like you have a go-to pair of shoes or a go-to bag. It's now a go-to mask. Vogue's
go-to pair of pajamas, which is what I think we've spent quite a lot of time in. I've got my favourite. I was wearing it earlier actually. I've got a grey one that's it's my favourite. Anyway, how many have other people got? How many masks have you got?
That's a question. How many masks have I purchased versus how many masks I still have? That's
Really?
an interesting question. Because I can't tell the number of times I've been out and I forgot my mask somewhere, or I think one time I dropped it underneath a train on London Underground. I just found so I think I've bought upwards of 20 masks in the total in the last year, and I currently have in my possession around 6.
Okay. And are they all different colours, Enoch, or are you, or do you vary, or do you just have one?
They're mostly black, but there is one white one, which I hate. I hate deeply, and every time it comes up in the rotation, I'm like, I'm sick of this. I should get rid of it, but I can't.
I think the white ones they look a bit strange. I think, and also the black ones they just like I was slacking off black masks a minute ago, but they do go with everything. Like if I put this on, it will go with.
Yeah.
Let's just quickly have a little run around, see how many other people have got, and then maybe we'll get back to the actual show. Adam,
about 6.
I think that's a good number. And in terms of colour, are you vary them?
So in terms of colour, they mostly blues and greys. So I've got a rather nice
Let's have a look.
bluish sort of one.
Oh, that's nice. Is it comfy? It looks all comfy.
It is really comfy. It's got a nice little nose piece here. The problem for me wearing masks is, you guessed it, the glasses.
The glasses.
Definitely talking about the mask keeping your face warm, and yeah, it does. Problem is, I couldn't wear outside for extensive periods of time in the cold to keep my face warm, because I will just mist up and I will probably walk into a lamppost.
Now, Remy's got special masks with glasses or something. They haven't made any special
why
designs
haven't they
for
done
it.
that yet?
I think the problem is, sadly, they will probably not block out the virus in that case. So what I need are little heaters in my glasses. What we need is heaters and windscreen wipers on glasses, and
windscreen wipers. Or just contact lenses, Adam.
No, I'm not a cop. I'm not
You have been told.
I just think that's a great answer.
Now, Remy, I know you've got. I've seen all Remy's masks. He's got some great patterned ones. He's got a lovely bird one. It's a green one, and it's got all different wildlife on it.
I quite like that one. Yeah, like you said, it's green, and then you've got like lots of birds and other types of trees and wildlife on it. We got that from a garden centre back in Surrey, in fact, as you do. But no, I really like that one. That's kind of my go-to masks. And then I don't have any other sort of permanent usable masks. If I need to rotate, I'll just take a temporary mask. I haven't been hoarding all those masks like you, Johnny.
Well, I suppose in Surrey all there is garden centres, so it's not like you can go and find anything else. Cam, how about...
that's a shot below the belt.
Cam?
I have got 5 masks. I'm really boring, actually. I mean, that's the thing. The mask does the job for me, although there is one very recent issue that I've noticed with the masks, and mainly to do with this, which is that if you grow facial hair and you leave it untrimmed, and you're sat in a seminar or you're in the library, it gets very itchy. It does. And I would be sat there just trying to do like my readings for my essay, and every so often I'd just be giving this a bit of a scratch. It almost become a force of habit, really. And either it looks like I'm thinking really deeply, which is like, yeah, that's good. It clearly shows I'm into what I'm doing. But it is quite uncomfortable. Admittedly, I could probably make that a lot more manageable. But
Cam, you will get used to it, is what I'd say. Is that actually, I don't think that's got much to do with the mask at all. I think that when you first grow facial hair, you notice it all the time and it's itchy. But I genuinely don't remember the last time I itched my face because of it. So that will pass.
Perhaps it's just me. Perhaps it's just me, Johnny.
I think so. Fantastic. So there we are. I've had a little look around. I think it seems that most people have sort of 6 masks, and I think that's probably about right. Where were we? Oh, Chef was telling us about how she loves to sit in the car alone wearing a mask. And that's been a favourite part of the whole year. Enoch, what would you say would be one positive thing that you've taken out of 2020?
I have to say, all the live streams we did, when we adapted to the disaster was term 3. We actually still made something, so we got something out there. This has been the highlight of my year, which is very sad to say. My work's been the highlight of my year, but it's all I've been able to do for the last 9 months.
I have bought so many gadgets. My phone's ringing. I can't really answer that now, can I? I've bought so many gadgets because of these live streams. I love it.
No, live streaming actually killed. I technically had to spend over £900 on live streaming because it killed my laptop. It destroyed my laptop. I had to buy a whole new laptop that could handle it. So yeah,
as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. It's a quite nice one actually. It's a Lenovo. Is that? I don't know what it said.
Other brands are available, not as good probably. So that's nice, Enoch, because it has been really good to be able to adapt, I suppose, and be able to do this online stuff. And it's a challenge we never saw coming.
Yeah, I mean, I remember even as late as right before term started, we were still planning on just doing podcasts or potentially maybe get back onto the studio. But, we didn't, and we made this instead. And I think this has been pretty good overall. And I hope people have enjoyed doing it and taking part, and hope it's worked.
Oh, well, isn't that nice? It definitely has been I tell you what was good. I'm just thinking about sort of some of the broadcasts we've done. The election broadcast was great fun. The because I did. Cam, you did the sort of evening before?
I did the first 2 hours of the evening, and so much fun. Although I might have literally got to the end of the broadcast, taken my suit jacket off, and literally nearly fallen asleep on the sofa. I was just that exhausted from just. I think people don't realise sometimes actually when you're doing these sorts of broadcasts for a long period of time, especially when you're in the position like myself, you or Johnny or Enoch are doing, where we're actually hosting it and we're constantly sort of on the lookout, listening to what our guests are saying, trying to constantly go through loads of stuff in our head. It is really tiring, actually. It's great fun, but it is also really tiring, and I don't think people sometimes realise just how much work goes on behind the scenes. And I think Enoch, I mean, obviously credit to you for all the work you did. Bringing the election coverage together is absolutely fantastic, and indeed to everyone, whether you're presenting, a guest on it, I thought it was really good.
That was good fun.
Beat Catty Kay and Andrew Neil by miles, I would say.
There's a bit more excitement, I'd say. There's a little bit more energy in the room. No, that was really good fun, and I think it's been so interesting the fact that broadcasters all across the world have had to adapt to Corona, and they've always had the facilities for people to be a guest or whatever down a Skype line, but actually doing it from home, presenting from home, and the technology and everything, it's been a big challenge for a lot of people, but I think it's been good.
I actually, if I can mention my favourite show in interaction technology and broadcasting, it's when Johnny Jenkins took down my stream. He took down my stream.
Oh, I remember that. That's brilliant.
There's a big button in the corner that says end.
Yeah, poor Johnny had to leave early. Because if you don't know, we have like a big shared Raw StreamYard that I pay for, and I kindly let Johnny Jenkins use. I kindly let Johnny Jenkins use. So I was doing an insight on Monday, and Johnny Jenkins was like, Enoch, I'd love to come, I have to leave early. I'm like, that's fine. So we get like 45 past, Johnny's like, it's been great, great time everyone, goodbye. And he just hits end broadcast, and he's heading out the show. And he just takes the stream.
We were like, did I just do that? Yeah, I did. I mean, that was a moment. I wouldn't say it's my favourite moment of the year, but it was a moment. Cam, so whilst we're with you, is there something that you can take away sort of positive from the year?
Well, I think connected to all the live streams we've been doing, obviously the alternative view, which has become my baby really over the last year. It's obviously setting up the live streams and then obviously getting a primetime slot as well on Raw for the second half of this term, something I really enjoyed as well. It's just been really good because I've always wanted to do something like sort of radio presenting, that sort of thing. Some people might say I love the sound of my own voice a bit too much. I've always loved doing things like acting, musical theatre with you. I've always loved just that presenting. So I think over lockdown, I just said to myself, look, I've got nothing else to do, but let's do something I've always wanted to do. Let's set up this live stream. Let's set up this little show of mine. Let's see what can come from it. And genuinely, I'll just go into random conversations with people now, and they've all talked to me about the show. And it's kind of crazy, but no, I've absolutely loved doing it. I'm also being a part of the Raw family as well. I think it's been a really lovely family to join in. I've met so many fantastic people, whether that's doing the live streams or speaking to people off air as well, whether that's, in the pub when we could still go to the pub. And I really look forward to the day I can go back to the pub with as many people as I want again, or, just on a video call or something. I think 2020 has been a weird year, obviously, with COVID, but I think it's an opportunity to try something new. And I think as well, kind of step out my comfort zone in doing sort of things out of the ordinary and really kind of being challenged in that way. But I think it's a year I feel that it's not been great, but I feel it's a year that I've learned a lot from.
Yeah,
And I think that's the thing that I get from it.
Because you go back to March, we obviously came home for it was for the Easter break, really, wasn't it? And then we were pretty much stuck at home for months. And we had this, obviously we still had university to do, but we had this more time to pick up those hobbies, those habits, whatever it is. And you've been able to use that time towards something there. I mean, I can, a similar thing for me, I'm always running around really busy and everything. And I obviously was home. I was still going to work a little bit, but not quite as much as I would normally. And I had more time of an afternoon. So I started reading a lot more and building up the bookshelf. And actually, there's another sort of shelf of books here, which are all at university now. But I just reading more and more and got really into it. And it's something I've always enjoyed, but never really got round to or never really had the time to. And we've had more of an opportunity, I think, to maybe do those things that we normally like and just haven't been able to do. Chef, I know you've got to go in a minute, but let's just see if there's anything maybe that you spend a bit more time on in lockdown or something that you were able to focus on.
Yeah, it actually links well to your point, to be honest. I think just being able to slow down a bit more, being home since March. I was home, to be quite honest, I didn't have the most boring lockdown ever. I moved house, so that was like in lockdown, so that was incredibly stressful because I moved house in 4 days. That's how much notice we had. That's a story for another time. But for us, once that was out of the way, and we had to stay at my grandparents for 8 weeks, and then I had an internship over summer as well. So it wasn't very it was busy, but being home then, especially once we moved in here in June, we sort of went, oh my God, breathe, because I think it had been one of those years that was so stressful for so many people in so many different ways, whether that's because they had family or friends who were affected by the virus or any other health issues, and then not being able to see people was a real difficulty. So just being able to stop and look at the things that you actually enjoy in your life, like we got back into our fitness at home, and we were doing that since March. And you know me, I've always been pretty active anyway, but we started doing joint workouts as the three of us. It sounds really cringe, but we do Well, you know what? Very, very quick side note. My sister will kill me for saying this. She did a high intensity workout with us back in March. One of the final ones she did with us because she threw up after it. It was like it pushed her too far, and she threw up.
High level athletes sometimes are sick after they finish their run or their side. But I didn't think a little
athlete.
Don't think really like a HIIT workout in the front room would lead to that. Wow.
Well, it was Well, I didn't think so either. So she's all right. She's fine. But I think for me, I've got back into fitness a lot more and just focusing on what makes me feel like a lot calmer. Because in a situation like this, I think, without meaning to sound too deep about it, there's so much out of our hands and out of our control. You look to the things that you can control, and they're usually very small things in your life, like structure. And not having structure for a long time since March affected me and a lot of people to a real great extent. So trying to make those changes to implement some sort of routine really helped me bring some sanity back into 2020.
I think that I'm the same as you, Chef, there. I think that it gave me the opportunity to understand that you can enjoy a slower pace of life, and that it doesn't always have to be so crazy all the time. And actually now I know how to relax, and I'm not sure I really did in the same way a year ago. So I think we can join in there. Anyway, Chef, I know we've got to let you go. Thank you so much for coming on, and if we don't talk, have a lovely Christmas.
Thank you for having me, and have a great Christmas, everyone, and a great New Year, and here's to a better 2021.
Oh, wonderful. And it's got to that time of year where you start saying Happy Christmas. People started saying it to me, and I'm like, but it's a thing now, so that's what we're doing. Okay, so Enoch really, really enjoyed the live streams. So did Cam. Remy.
Oh, positive
Oh,
bits from 2021 for me. Well, to be honest, I think, Johnny, I think both you and Chef hit the nail on the head in the sense that just being able to slow down a little bit and just being able to take life more as it comes. To be honest, probably that sounds very cringy, but I think it's true. Like several members of my family, like were rushing about, often working abroad, and just to take the time to slow down and just spend a bit of time with them, makes you appreciate that sort of thing a lot more. And I think similar to you, Johnny, I very much took up reading over lockdown period. I mean, politics is a subject where you do a lot of reading anyway, but it's nice just to be able to do some reading, which is not because you need to do it for the next seminars. You can read because you're interested in it or because it's a nice book. It's just a very nice way of just decompressing, learning a bit more, taking the world in a bit more. You have the time to do that thanks to lockdown. So that's certainly one positive that came out of it for me, just being able to take the time to take it all in.
And is that something, I think a lot of people have done this and really enjoyed it at the time and then just sort of gone back to busier life. Is that something you've been able to keep post-lockdown?
I think it is. I mean, obviously, you do have the busyness to some extent back now that things like term have started again and things are starting to resume a normal pattern. But I think at least there is an aspect of it which sticks. There is definitely something there which teaches you to hold on to the slower aspect of life. Just step into the slower lane a little bit. I think there is at least something of it there for sure.
Yeah, that's really great. Adam, you've been waiting patiently. Let's hear from you what it is that you've taken away from it.
So, what we're taking away from 2020? Again, I think it's echoing the opportunity to do other things. Like you ended up re-engaging my reading habit, which used to be fantastic. Then it went downhill, and then it's picked up, and it's fallen down just a little bit since starting uni, just for the simple reason that you're reading so much other stuff as well. The other thing I did, so I started getting back into doing a bit of writing, which was actually really quite nice to just sort of escape from everything that's been going on, just to sort of enter a separate world from even if it's somewhat related to what we're actually in, just something different, really, from some of the really, really difficult things that have been coming, and just to actually feel like you're starting to accomplish something. Because when you're stuck at home, sometimes you feel like you're not achieving something. So being able to have something that you can tick off to say, "Yep, I've done that, and this is looking pretty good," can really build on some of the positivity.
What sort of things have you been writing then?
Right, so I'm attempting, and I stress attempting because it's probably rubbish, a spy thriller.
Oh,
Really?
oh, nice.
That's exciting.
So maybe I'll have a bit of a test audience here at some point by the end of the year. Well, I might have something to show you.
Give me a signed copy, Adam. I'll be the first in the line for it.
I feel like a preview on air one day. Just come on. You know that they have on those shows sometimes they get people showing the books. They'll read like a page or two of like the spiciest bit of it, or just leave you on a cliffhanger. I feel we need some of that. I want to. I'm looking forward to it.
We'll do a live reading live on the Raw News page. That's how it.
Get Tom Hardy to read it on CBeebies.
Okay, yeah. We'll ask Tom Hardy. But yeah, if we can't get Tom Hardy, I'll do something before the end of the year. How about that?
Oh well, now that is fantastic,
I like it. Enoch, have you got that in the schedule?
Yeah, I'm calling Rin now. I'm like, Rin, New Year special's done. I've got it. I've got exactly what we need.
And that's so nice, Adam, because it's something physical that you can take away from this year, this period, and hopefully, it's not just one off, and then you're able to get back into the swing of things and do it more. That's really great. So really nice. That's really nice that we've gone round and we've seen that everybody has got something to take away positive from 2020. Because it has been just a whirlwind, hasn't it, of events and news and really sad stuff a lot of the time. But I'm glad that everybody is able to take something positive from it. So let's move on to how it's been, because it's last day of term today at university, and whilst we're all at home. We've had to study at home this week. We have been at university. We've seen what it's like. We've had some, if you're anything like me, you've had some in-person teaching, some online teaching, a little bit of both. I'm interested to see people's experiences with this blended approach. Cam, let's come to you first. Has it been what you expected? Has it been better, or maybe not quite as good?
I think the university have done a very good job. I think firstly they did all they could to mitigate the risk of coronavirus spreading within the seminars, with social distancing, face masks, constant sanitization, both people coming and wiping their desks when they go into seminars, and then just the fantastic work of the cleaning staff as well. I think actually all of the cleaning staff, not just at the university, but in general as well, this year, I don't think have got the credit for the role they played in keeping places safe and COVID secure as possible. The university have done a fantastic job in that. For me personally, I think the lack of structure is something I think I've not always found easy. So I won't lie and say that I may have been watching my lectures at 11 o'clock the night before a seminar and have had to cram in the reading the morning of that seminar. I think it's something I got better at, or something I'm still sort of learning to come together. But I think in general, the university have done all they can. I think not just on the teaching, but as well, I think on the sort of counselling, mental health. Now, we know the university do have a long way to go still to produce a service that I think all students can feel totally confident and totally happy with. But I think the university have responded well to the challenges that have been thrown at them. And yeah, I think there could be things that could be changed, of course, but I think in general they have done the best they can. And I think as students, I don't feel we've been too disadvantaged, I think, given the circumstances.
Remy, you look like you wanna say something.
No, only just not really much, but just like to really echo what Cam has said. Obviously, I don't think any of us when we first signed up to university were anticipating a global pandemic would shut everything down in our final year. But I mean, I'd really echo the view. I'd really like the blended approach, the 50-50 approach. I mean, obviously, as students, you've got to mitigate the risk of large scale contacts, and a lecture is just one such example of it. So I think it was a smart move to move lectures online, and on top of that, it gives you a lot more flexibility. You can watch the lectures when you want, when it suits you, and take it at your own pace. Most importantly of all, if you don't understand something, you can go back. So that's certainly a positive. But on top of all that, I think teaching is just one of those professions, one of those aspects where you need a certain face-to-face element. There's only so much you can do online, and I think that's where the face-to-face seminars have proved so handy. And just being able to maintain that human contact with your professors and with your fellow peers as well, I think that has just been such an important addition to the approach which has been taken by the university. And again, to echo what Cam was saying earlier, the cleaning staff have done a formidable job in ensuring that the campuses remain safe for students and keeping it COVID secure and minimizing the risk that comes from the face-to-face contact that we all need. So really, I just have to echo Cam's point. All credit to university, all credit to the cleaning staff to give us as much human contact as possible given the circumstances. So my hat's off to them, in all fairness.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some online seminars, just sort of here and there. This week, where there was all online this week, but mainly in person. And the online ones, you just don't have that same connection with them. You don't have that sort of human interaction. It just doesn't feel quite right. So I'm pleased, like you, Remy, that they've been able to do the lots of the classes in person, and I think it's worked. And as I was saying a little bit earlier to Jet, I was quite concerned coming to uni. I did quite a lot of media being a bit doom and gloom about it, saying that I was wondered about how it's going to be safe. And actually, this week and then the weeks before, I've just been so positive because that it has been my experience. I think it's been dealt with very well. I felt safe, and it's nice to have an opportunity to be so positive about something rather than scathing.
Well, hopefully not positive. Well, hopefully not positive in that sense, Johnny.
no, I'd be all clear. We're good. Well, yeah, Adam, how's it been for you? has it been better than you expected, do you think?
Yeah, I'd say so. When I applied to Warwick, being an MA student, I applied in lockdown and knowing that the virus was not going to have gone away by the time I got to Warwick. I just knew that we were going to be in some sort of a situation. So I suppose that the idea of it being blended, I was fully prepared for that. I think actually the online provision has been really good. So I started off blended and then moved online entirely for the last few weeks of term, which meant that actually I've had the online seminars as well compared to face-to-face. And actually, I found the online seminars to be really good. And now, that might be because beforehand I was at work, so I was used to having online meetings. So maybe I've just been a little bit more sensitized to that approach of working than maybe other students have been. So there's probably an element of that that's come in. But again, I seem to say a big thank you to the staff at the university in politics and international studies specifically, because they have been absolutely fantastic at trying to get things to run as smoothly as possible. They've even tried to have social activities. So we've had online MA coffee chats where students and staff have been able to come together to talk about how things are going, to get advice on careers and other elements of university life. We've got even a virtual Christmas party coming up. So we're trying to do some of those other alternative things just to try and minimize some of the bits that are lost about in person, which, yeah, it is a shame that I can't have maybe the traditional university experience. I've had that once, so maybe I just have to act that, you know what, I've had my opportunity at that. And yeah, the cleaners as well. I used to go into a seminar at 9 o'clock, and the cleaners would be in there when I'd still arrive, and literally just be finishing off and doing an absolutely incredible job. And I think that they are really some of the big heroes in this pandemic, along with our health and social care staff. So I'm just incredibly grateful for the service that they have been offering students and the university.
Yeah, and needed now more than ever. And it's just something that we didn't see coming. Enoch, let's see if we can make this a full house of positive online blended university experiences. How's it been for you?
You've got a full house. I think, you know what? I've had in person, I've had online. I've had some great in-person seminars. I've had some terrible in-person seminars. I've had some truly atrocious online seminars. But I think one of my favorite seminars I've had in my entire time here has been online. It's been an absolutely wonderful experience. We've got a great seminar tutor. We've got sort of a great atmosphere going with the class. It's absolutely wonderful. So I think this year's really been, what you make of it. I mean, universities worked really hard, and individual seminar tutors have worked incredibly hard to make everything work the best we can this year. I think you all mentioned the cleaning staff; they did an incredible job. Everybody working on the ground at university to make this reality has done absolutely fantastic work to make it, I think, perfectly possible for you to work on, in person at all. The fact that that's achievable is amazing. But also the fact that online has worked so well that people have been prepared for it. They have sort of system in place and know what they want to do. I think it's been absolutely wonderful.
No, that's really good, because it was a worry. We weren't sure how it's going to work. And so many universities, when I meet other students from different universities, so many of them say, I've had a really bad time because I got there and then my university put it all online. And that seems to be such a common experience. And I'm very glad, and I think most people here are probably quite glad, that they have had the option for that in person right from the very start, and they've remained committed to it. So hats off to Warwick, and I don't usually say that. Enoch, would you say, I assume for you it's the same as me, a bit online, a bit in person, would you be happy to keep that balance going forward, or maybe in your final year, would you like it all to be in person again?
I can also feel some members of the panel all glaring at me about to say what I'm about to say. I think online actually really worked quite well, and I think I have some seminars where I'm like, this actually is genuinely it is better than it would have been in person, to do it online, and sort of the unique tools it gives you and unique ways it lets you express yourself. So I think I'd be happy next year to keep doing some certain stuff online. I think obviously, I think some people would massively prefer to be in person. Some tutors especially massively prefer to be in person. But I think if online works for some teachers, I think why not keep it going?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got another year at Warwick, but if I did, I would quite like the lectures to stay online and the seminars to be in person.
I absolutely disagree. Actually, the lectures online have been like maybe it's because in history, I think you can choose how you put the lecture out, and so I have some lecturers who have some most bizarre ways of getting lectures to us. Like I have one lecture recorded, literally slide by slide, they're part of the lecture for that side of the PowerPoint, and you have to like go through the entire thing for like. But it's absolute. I have some absolute bizarre experience with lectures. So I think if all the lectures move online, they better have a standardized system for it, or just move in person where I can safely ignore them.
Cam, would you be happy next year to have a little bit online and a little bit in person?
So I think seminars I definitely want back all in person. I think the interaction, I think that's the most important bit. I think it's what Remy said earlier. You need that interaction between the tutors and the students because I feel you get more out of it. It's a lot easier, I think, when you're in person that you can respond not just to the room, but you can also, if you've got your own problems, I feel you can more quickly kind of talk to other people in the room, or you can more quickly and more easily talk to the seminar tutors. I had a thing yesterday, for example, in one of my seminars where I thought I clicked on the hand up function, and turns out I hadn't, and then I was sort of waiting for about half an hour. And so again, if I was in the seminar room, I would have just been a lot quicker in terms of, right, can I just, talk through this or talk about it? So I think the seminars, they rely on that social interaction. So I think it's good to have them all in person as soon as possible. I do think that you could with lectures. I mean, perhaps not have the lectures still all in person, because I think they bring structure, they bring routine, but I think perhaps have alongside that something like a universal lecture capture. And I know it's something that a lot of people have said that we've needed now for quite some time. And I feel now we've had the experience of getting these systems going with using Microsoft Stream to record the lectures, certainly in pace, but then also lecture capture, we know other seminar tutors use it. The technology is there now. So I feel the university should be like, right, we're going to put all the lectures in person, but we're going to have universal lecture capture. And it works in many ways. So, for example, throughout most of my first year, and really this is the tragedy of my university experience, being blighted by medical concerns. I spent a whole half of my first term suffering quite badly with glandular fever. And so I missed, I think, the equivalent of about a whole week of lectures and seminars, and then about half a week at the end of the second part of that term. So I was lucky I had some of my modules that had lecture capture, but some that didn't. So I felt a lot more confident. Obviously, I didn't have the exams in the end, but I would have felt a lot more confident going over those topics where I had the things for lecture capture, where at least I had the basics and I felt I could do the reading from that. So I think something like having everything in person again, but having that universal lecture capture, or perhaps for seminars as well. If you have students that are ill that can't attend, maybe having one online seminar a week for students who are unable to turn up. So at least they've got something. I think one of the things this pandemic has shown is that the technology is there to have a much more diverse approach to teaching that can respond to people's needs, that can respond to sort of anything that comes up urgently for students. And I think that's a real positive. And I think the way the university have settled the teaching up, I think it's definitely something they can build upon going forward.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to the lectures being accessible afterwards, now I've never used lecture capture or a recorded lecture thing before this year because it hasn't really been there for me, and I've always had to go there. But actually, I think the case is probably very strong now to have an option for that going forward. Now, folks, I can see the clock ticking towards 4 o'clock. And in these last 5 minutes, I just quickly want to go over Brexit because I know it's something we've discussed so many times, but this is it now. This is the final, and the amount of times I've said this, but this actually now is it. The final few days of negotiations between the UK and the EU. They've got until Sunday to try and get a deal. I want to go around one by one. Tell me if you think they're going to get a deal or not and why. Okay, that's what I want to hear from you. And we'll keep them short and sweet so that we can end on time. Enoch, are we going to get a deal, yes or no?
Yes, we have to get a deal because I refuse to believe otherwise. I can't take no deal after this year. I'm not putting up with it. If Boris does this to me, I will personally go to 10 Downing Street and complain at him every single day.
So you really don't think it's a possibility that there could be no deal?
I think it's a very
Boris
strong
says it is a
possibility.
possibility.
I think we see this all. We sort of see this every single time with EU negotiations, where there's sort of this bit of brinksmanship where they keep going. There's not going to be a deal. It's not going to happen, everybody. And in the last minute, they get down in there. They sign a deal. They put it to Parliament. I think we're going to get a deal.
Okay, you think they will, Adam?
Sadly, I'm really sorry, Enoch. I do not think we're going to get a deal. I think we're going to end up with what they call an Australian-style deal, which is really bad language for no deal. But the simple reason is there's been a lot of posturing on these various sides. And I think what the Prime Minister's got the problem with is the hardline Brexiteers in his own party, of which he used to be a principal spokesman for. But sadly, there are some people within the Conservative Party who only want a no-deal outcome. They do not want to have any form of those sorts of ties with the EU. And sadly, I think that there's going to be the Prime Minister will be thinking about his own career in this side and thinking, actually, no, we're going to go away and say that coronavirus was the reason for the economic mess that will follow suit.
Because it'll be very difficult to distinguish between the impact of Brexit and the impact of Corona. But do you not think, Adam, to Enoch's point, that when it comes down to it on Sunday, they look over the table at one another, everyone around that table wants a deal, they're going to find some way to do it?
There is a very slim chance, but sadly, I do think everyone wants a deal. I do think the Prime Minister wants a deal, and I think the EU wants a deal. The problem is that some of the gaps, particularly with fishing, which actually makes up a small amount economically, but it's a big symbolic area. Yeah. The gap is still just slightly too big, and I just do not think they're going to be able to close it in time. After a no deal, they might be able to come back to the table and have a deal, but I think we're going to end up with some of that no deal disruption for a period of time.
Okay, Remy, your thoughts?
Tragically, Johnny, I am in agreement with Adam that no deal is on the horizon. Unfortunately, it's not a smart choice, but I think that it's going to be the case because there is a fundamental paradox at the heart of the Brexit negotiations. On the UK side, they want to maintain the perks of the club, but without having to follow the rules. On the other hand, the EU doesn't want its single market compromised by having the UK have the benefits without the rules. That could potentially lead to the breakup of the European Union. So I think the paradox is just too big to overcome. We've spent 4.5 years trying to get a solution to this. So how on earth they're going to get this done in just 2 to 3 days, I really struggle to see. Yes, as Enoch pointed out, negotiations with the EU tend to go right down to the wire, but even so, I really think it's going to take a miracle to pull a deal out of the hat on this one, unfortunately.
I mean, that's a point that I've said on the radio for years now, actually, that the EU take things down to the wire. They could do it at the last minute, but here we are in the last minute, and it seems, if you just look at the rhetoric from both sides, that it's not going to happen. Cam, let's give you the final say here. Deal or no deal?
I'm going to err towards no deal as well. I think fundamentally, I think there's two big red lines on both sides that I just don't think you can resolve. On the EU side, there's obviously the single market. But I think as well as, and we've seen in the last week as well, the things like fishing, for example, from President Macron and the real demands that are coming from there. I do agree with the UK government. I do feel the EU have put, it seems, some additional demands in on the last week. And I think that's made the negotiations very difficult. I don't think the internal market bill helped for goodwill. I think it was more a negotiating ploy from the government, but I'm not sure it's helped on the goodwill side. Whereas from the UK government, and I think fundamentally they look at the referendum and they look at the fact that it was for them, and I think for many of the people who voted leave, it was a vote on sovereignty. It was a vote on having our laws made in Westminster, not having, unelected bureaucrats in Brussels and the European Court making decisions on our behalf. And I think fundamentally, I don't think the Prime Minister can sign up to any EU law or anything that keeps him on some sort of regulatory alignment. I think especially if you look at EU trade deals with Japan, with Canada, there's none of this regulatory alignment in any sense. And there is a sense, I think, that the UK wants to be treated differently, but then I also don't think it likes to have to accept some of the rules as well. I almost feel it is a bit of a cake and eat it approach, but I don't think the EU have been acting fairly as well. And I think ultimately, as much as we've got to take the hit, I do think no deal is better than a bad deal in terms of the freedom the UK will have to set its own trade agreements and the freedom to not really follow EU law and make its own regulation, which will be difficult at first. We will have tariffs to deal with, but I think they can be resolved over time. And what we've seen with other trade deals is the UK has built upon what it has already. And so perhaps this is a start of a new era of global trade where perhaps we're not so reliant on Europe. But that's not to say trade with Europe stops overnight. Both sides rely on that trade. There will be some form of agreement, even if it's not this agreement that comes out by the 1st of January.
Okay, that's the final word for today. That's the final word of 2020. Thanks so much to my panel for joining me, Cam, Remy, Adam, Enoch, and Chef. And we shall see you in the new year. Have a lovely Christmas and a very happy new year.